Today's economy of I am asking because I can give value comes from the notion of nature providing us with what we need to begin with. So, in other words, a person cannot give value unless they have value, right? Unless they have accumulated value. Now, because of this, a person cannot sacrifice themselves for another person, meaning they cannot sacrifice themselves if what they are is nothing. But you cannot sacrifice a body that does not even exist. So today's economy is extremely competitive, and it builds on the system of people promising people things that they may not be able or motivated or resourced enough for giving. Of course, mostly and most of the time, people are very good at following up on their promises, especially if their livelihood is at stake. However, the nature that even created us, like Mother Earth, exists not unconditionally. Mother Earth is providing us with all we need because she just is, and it's not a thread of, it's all these things that you see on the media. Oh, if we destroy it, whatever, it doesn't matter whether we destroy it or not. She will no longer stick around if we destroy it. It won't matter. It's not about the lack. It's not about the scarcity. It's not about the threatening and, all these fear-mongering statements. It's about the fact that we still have her. We still got her to enjoy her, to indulge in her resources and provision, essentially, and safety and security and beauty and care. And I know that this statement exists, that it's either nature or nurture, but nurture leaves the equation. It just leaves the picture entirely. It's just out of the picture, out of the question entirely, when competitiveness takes over to such a degree that what we offer is not something that we have in the long run. And I know that a lot of people today struggle with commitment issues, and let's be honest, commitment takes courage, right? It takes enthusiasm, it takes bravery, it takes sacrifices consciously, it takes discipline, it takes everything that so many of us are not taught to have to begin with, because all we're raised with is a promise of good life and resources and abundance and rainforest and unfiltered truth. But we will not see people's unfiltered truth if all we are offered is promises, because a promise is not something that is the truth. It's just a promise. But we live on a promise-based economy, so the resources that nature actually has available for us is the very set of resources that people are essentially are taking because they're basically too comfortable. In an economy like this, it is true that the more uncomfortable you can get, no matter what it takes or no matter how little the distraction of discomfort, it will get you results. And actually, no matter how young you start, it does work. Age is truly just a number, because the knowledge and experience that you may accumulate throughout your years, it will adapt and it will change you. And that's the whole point, right? Because if you change, you may have more value in the end. And the more value you have to offer, the better. But you cannot give skills if you don't have them, right? So there's nothing wrong with the economy being about conscious transactions. What I like about today's economy is the fact that they're filled with conscious transactions and contracts and legal authorization, whatever you need to get things mutually agreed upon. However, the part that's missing is people bringing their full truth into the workplace and shining, because they're not afraid to put forth their best foot. But let's face it, unless people go in as complete people who understand and love and accept themselves as they are, the economy even cannot thrive. So there is a point in this, I believe, as a clairvoyant, that people have to take something back for themselves, including faith in themselves, because in this type of economy, no one may make them feel like they are capable of anything, really, because maybe no one is appreciative enough of them, maybe no one is comparing their good traits and features and whatever respect to them to their negative ones. So the whole picture is a constructive environment and place and platform for them to grow, not a destructive one. Constructive criticism involves understanding a person for who they are. So if we only see and grab one negative aspect of a person or a thing at a time, all we can expect, of course, is the same reaction back. Without the positive, maybe, because the positive gets lost in the ether or whatever. It's a law that whatever type of reaction has two effects. One is the exact same and the other is the exact opposite. So if we give a compliment, we can expect for that compliment to get back to us, because what goes around comes back around. But as things go around, they have a trajectory. And that trajectory is at one point in time pointing away from us. That trajectory of action is pointing away from us. So then we are not a match to it because we have let it go. We're not in the sphere of that emotion or action or thought or way of being. We're just not that action. And that's when dimensions collapse and clash and get understood. And without those dimensions, what we put out into the universe as energy would not come back to us. But because it comes back to us, it has the opposite effect as well. What we do has the opposite effect of our action as well. And that's also karma. So when we take from Mother Earth what she has, we can expect two things. One is getting what we want, and the other is becoming even more unfulfilled, because Mother Nature should normally fulfill us with resources, but nature also deprives us, and that creates expansion. When we experience a desire, we want to move closer to that desire so that we close the gap between where we are and where we want to be. But when we do that, it doesn't necessarily take effort. When it does, that effort, the fact that we need effort for that action to be executed in the first place, has its own karma. Like effort, you cannot get away with. But effort is action, and it's energy invested. So effort pays off. But effort in this economy is the leading basis of modern transactions and contribution. So when you take that away, what you're left with is people deprived of even who they are. Like lazing about on their couch, watching media. But that's not who they are, is it? If people actually believed in themselves, imagine what this world would be like. Imagine what the economy would be like. I have no idea what it will be looking like actually, but imagine for yourself how it would be different, because that question that I'm asking about you is telling to you about your needs and about your trajectory in life. Whatever thought pops into your head, it's because it matters, it has meaning, it has trajectory, it has an emotional, likely, it has an emotional connotation, it has an emotional effect attached to it. If it didn't have emotion attached to it, you maybe wouldn't even be considering it in the first place. But have you actually pondered the question, what would you do if no matter what you did, you succeeded? I want you to ponder this question, because I have found myself to be in a position in my life where I realized that I have undersold myself to myself so much that I've actually got myself to believe so many of the beliefs that society and authority and parents and caregivers and teachers imposed upon me, because I believed that if I look up to them, then I will survive. And if I take what they say and implement it in my life and incorporate those beliefs into my body as mine, if I embody those things and energies and vibes, then I will be fulfilled. However, it wasn't until I was offered a almost ridiculously unrealistic expectation that was so great, that was so mind-opening and challenging, that I got myself to think greater, that I realized how biased my previous beliefs have been. Okay, so I was on this dating app, and I asked the question. Essentially, I wrote a paragraph, and I asked a question, and this person answered, "Okay, I will help you, blah, 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 with blah, 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 X, 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 Y, whatever. I will help you," was the core message. I want to sleep with that message. I dreamt big during that night. I dreamt my entire life ahead of me I do that every day, but I dreamt big that day. And what happened was I woke up to a message saying, "You're stupid, aren't you?" Like, that happened because I answered, "Wow, okay." But this person called me stupid because they have offered something that they were not willing to give to me. But that does not make me less than. But that belief of me getting what I want, which is maybe higher than what I expect, challenged me enough to think so much more outside of the box that I started to believe that I was capable of achieving whatever it was that I wanted at the time. So I felt grateful for that person who actually called me stupid the very same day. Of course, I did not put up with that behavior anymore, and I took steps forward to bounce out of that mental space. But I was grateful for this person for offering me something that challenged my beliefs enough so that I realized that, for example, every single belief about money that my parents imposed and instilled into and onto me were changeable. They were fit to adapt whatever situation I was in. They did not have to be about my parents. Those beliefs belonged to my parents, and that was fine. If I adapted different beliefs, temporarily I may have to remove myself from the source, which is my parents' home or whatever. But in the long run, it all comes back with more payoff, right?